In a bold display of defiance, thousands of anti-corruption protesters in Nepal are risking it all, ignoring a government-imposed curfew to demand justice and accountability. But here's where it gets controversial. Their actions come on the heels of a violent crackdown that left 19 dead and over 100 injured, sparking a heated debate about the limits of free speech and the government's response to dissent. And this is the part most people miss. The protests were initially triggered by a sweeping social media ban, which the government has since lifted in a surprising reversal. So what's really going on here? On September 9, 2025, the streets of Kathmandu echoed with chants and slogans as demonstrators gathered to mourn the loss of 19 lives and demand an end to corruption. The protests, primarily led by Gen Z youth, highlight a growing frustration among Nepal's younger generation, who feel the government has failed to address systemic corruption and create economic opportunities. For instance, protester Manjita Manandar emphasized that young people are staging peaceful sit-ins near the Prime Minister's office, yet their voices have been met with tear gas and rubber bullets. Here's the kicker. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, now in his fourth term, has promised relief for the victims' families and an investigation into the violence. But is it too little too late? 2 of his cabinet members resigned on moral grounds, raising questions about the government's internal cohesion. Meanwhile, India, Nepal's influential neighbor, is closely monitoring the situation, urging a peaceful resolution. But what does this mean for Nepal's sovereignty and its ability to handle internal crises independently? The social media ban, which blocked platforms like Facebook, was initially justified as a regulatory measure, but many saw it as a thinly veiled attempt to silence dissent. Its swift reversal suggests the government may have underestimated the public's reaction. However, the curfew remains in place, shutting down schools, shops, and public gatherings in Kathmandu. This raises a critical question. Can a government balance maintaining order with respecting its citizens' right to protest? As the protests spread to other cities across the Himalayan nation, organizers are framing them as a generational uprising, driven by young people's desire for transparency and accountability. But not everyone agrees with their methods. Some argue that the violence and defiance of the curfew are counterproductive, while others see it as the only way to force change. What do you think? Is this a necessary rebellion against a failing system, or a dangerous escalation that risks further instability? Prime Minister Oli has blamed the violence on infiltration from different selfish centers. But this explanation has done little to quell the public's anger. His promise of an investigation panel within 15 days feels like a stopgap measure to many. Will it lead to meaningful reform, or is it just a way to buy time? As the world watches, Nepal stands at a crossroads, and the choices made in the coming days could shape its future for decades. What would you do if you were in Oli's shoes? Let us know in the comments. This is a conversation that needs your voice.